Get connected, Fitchburg. Sign up for Fitchburg Connect, the city's monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on-demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Welcome to the March 18, 2026 meeting of the Police and Fire Commission. First item on the agenda is call to order. Second item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda, item 3, approval of minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 4th, 2026.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, item 4, public appearances for non-agenda items. Nothing. No one here from the public. We will keep moving. Next item, number 5 on the agenda, PFC citizen complaint process, PFC complaint form update, and update of the PFC rules and regulations. Jenna, we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do kind of a general overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions. The first document, I can see it on my screen, I'm not sure if you have it up on your screen in the room, is a document that explains the citizen complaint process. So what we're focusing on here is having a one-page document that hopefully can be put on the website, and so anyone who has questions about what the process looks like, what it entails, what sort of steps they will have to take, they can read this document and get some information on that. Or let's say, you get an email from a concerned citizen, this is a document that you could refer them to help them understand what the process looks like. And then if you scroll down a little bit, I believe it's on the bottom, we also note there that the departments have their own internal complaint processes, because I think sometimes citizens are actually looking for an investigation, and that is not something that the PFC does. But so this, putting information there about what, if they're looking for an investigation, they might want to file an internal complaint with the police department, for example. So just wanted to have that information there as well. So that's what this document is. Are there any questions on this document, or do you want me to go right to the next?
Are there any questions? None. If not, yes, let's keep going.
Okay. This is your citizen complaint form, and the red line shows my suggested revisions to it. The changes are intended to bring clarity here and, kind of tie back to the PFC's rules. So, we explain that the PFC has specific powers and duties under state law, that a citizen who is an aggrieved person may file a complaint with the PFC. that Section 7 of the rules applies, and that they may also file complaints directly with the police and fire departments for investigation. The PFC is not an investigatory body. And then we've got a couple of clarifications shown in red line here to the form itself. And then just stop me if you have any questions about the form. So that's it for the form. Any questions on proposed revisions to the form before we jump to the rules?
No. No questions.
Okay. All right. So I worked with Attorney Zisman, and also I know she circulated the proposed changes to the departments to weigh in on the proposed changes here. Some of them are for clarification purposes, and like you see on the first page, I think we changed it to community as opposed to citizen. Other changes were meant to, again, bring clarity to the process for hearings. So here, if we stop here, this is Section 3 on probation. It's meant to bring clarity that the probationary period of 12 months applies to new appointees who are not covered by a CBA. So my understanding is the CBA defines the probationary period for new hires. Now, if you bring in a lateral who isn't necessarily covered by the CBA, this language is meant to clarify that a probationary period of 12 months shall apply to new appointees not covered by the CBA. The next one specifies that if the chief determines during the course of probation to terminate the employment of a new appointee, the chief may withdraw the recommendation for appointment, and they shall then be discharged. So that's meant to clarify this is a new appointee. If it's during the probationary period, they're not entitled to the just cause protections and not entitled to a hearing before the PFC. So that 3.2 is meant to clarify that. And then as we continue down, Section 4 is about promotions. Again, this was meant to clarify things. So 4.4, we have the chief shall present to the commission for approval the names of any proposed promotional appointments. So this is meant to clarify, it's a two-step process. So the chiefs will come to you with a recommendation for promotion subject to the probationary period. If you approve the promotion subject to the probationary period, then the chief is going to, of each department, will come back to you following successful completion of the probationary period to recommend that you approve them for, permanent promotion there. So some of these changes are meant to clarify that. 4.6 clarifies that the chiefs may make temporary arrangements to carry out the duties of the positions as needed, but that's not meant to be permanent. The temporary arrangement shall only be effective until the next commission meeting. So that could be somebody who, goes out on leave, for example, that the chiefs may make temporary arrangements to fill, that position while the person's on leave, but that's not going to be a permanent appointment. 4.7 clarifies that all promotional appointments are subject to a probationary period of 12 months. And then this is where the next part is talking about how the chief shall report to the commission any promotional candidate. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a little bit different. That they shall report any promotional candidate who needs their probationary period extended. So they'll have to come to you if, let's say, I've had situations where somebody, again, ends up having to go out on leave, for example, for whatever reason during their probationary period. So they weren't able to complete the full year. That might be a situation where we need to extend the probationary period. So they'll need to report to you about that. And then this part, upon successful completion of the probationary period, the chiefs need to come back to the commission for final approval of the promotional appointment, including the proposed effective date. So that's what that language states at the bottom of Section 4. Section 5 is about the disciplinary process, and there's a lot of revisions to Section 5 meant to bring clarity to the process. 5.1 explains the essentially the just cause protections under state law, and also explains that a promoted subordinate who fails to successfully complete their probationary period for non-disciplinary reasons is not entitled to just cause protections under state law. And that comes from case law, that if it's a non-disciplinary reason during the probationary period, that they're not going to be entitled to just cause to go back to their prior role so long as it's non-disciplinary. So that's meant to clarify that in 5.1. 5.2 is that the commission may be represented by legal counsel throughout disciplinary proceedings. Not required to be, but that you can work with me or someone else for that process. 5.4 talks about the procedures that apply to disciplinary proceedings. So after the charges are filed and prior to the initial hearing, the commission may conduct a preliminary investigation about jurisdiction, standing, things like that. Continuing down, after the charges are filed, a copy of the charges needs to be served upon the charged party, and then the commission shall set a date for the initial hearing. So part of the revisions here clarify that the first step is an initial hearing, and so you don't jump right into an evidentiary hearing. The initial hearing, think of it kind of like a scheduling conference, where you meet with both sides, meaning the complainant and then also the respondent and the respondent's representative usually, and the complainant may also have a representative for that matter. But you meet with them and you talk about various things during that initial hearing, and those are listed under 6.1, as opposed to, like I said, jumping right into an evidentiary hearing. So if you scroll down to 6.1, it describes all of the things that will happen at the initial hearing. And so it's very detailed there. I don't know if anybody, do you want me to go through each one of these, or any questions on that?
We appreciate all the detail. I think it'll help us out because we needed this last time we had a complaint. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a way to really organize the proceedings, set dates and deadlines. Again, think of it kind of like a scheduling conference that a court would hold, where you talk about various things and set deadlines. And so you talk about when witness lists have to be provided, when exhibits have to be provided, and all of that. So it's really a helpful process. And then then you would set a date for the continued evidentiary hearing at the initial hearing, and then everybody's on board with when that takes place. Then the evidentiary hearing part comes next. I see that's where you're at right now, and some clarity was added there on how the process, how it works, clarifying the evidence or evidentiary standards that apply, clarifying what happens when there's multiple complaints in 6.4, and 6.5 is the provisions of that rule will apply to chiefs if there happens to ever be a disciplinary action, that would apply to them as well. Then section 7 was also quite a bit of revisions, and this was meant to clarify the citizen complaint process. And then also we did add a deadline for filing charges with the PFC. We put charges under this rule shall be filed within 1 year of the event that forms the basis for the charges absent just cause. I think there was a concern about things that happened, many years ago, and it was coming up years and years later. Well, there's a concern there with respect to due process, of course, and also preservation of evidence and reliability of witness testimony and other evidence if due to the passage of time that there's a concern there about the reliability of that. So I did comment there that The statute allows PFCs to publish rules regarding the disciplinary process that applies to subordinates. There's currently no legal authority that prohibits a police and fire commission from placing a time limit on citizen complaints. And then I just had there that courts have held that efficiency and fairness are the purposes for the disciplinary process, such that it's likely that a reasonable time limit within which a citizen must file a complaint, absent good cause for the delay, would be permissible. So we don't have current case law on this, but we have a statute that specifically allows for PFCs to adopt rules. So I'm recommending 1 year, but then, you have absent good cause. So there might be a situation where somebody, it's a year and 5 months or something, and then they establish to you, why they weren't able to file it within a year. So that's still allows for that, they could still establish good cause. So that's what we've got there. And we specify what has to be included in a complaint as well. And that we will publish a standard form, which is what we already looked at. And continuing down, that's it. But I do want to point out in 8.1, since you are looking at amending the rules, the process to do that is that you just need majority action at a regular or special meeting. So I know some PFCs have a process by which they have kind of a two-step where, at one meeting they'll have a reading of the rules, but then they won't approve the amendment at that same meeting. It'll be the next meeting, but your rules don't have a two-step process. It's a one-step process. So you just need majority action of the commission at a regular or special meeting to the extent that you wish to amend the rules. So any questions on all of that?
When we updated the rules last time, we just did it in one meeting, so it was, so we just got it all done. It's up to you what you'd like to do.
I think we'll continue with that approach. I have no questions. The other commissioners, do you have any questions of what we've covered so far?
No questions.
Should have done my homework.
All right, well, hearing no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the PFC citizen complaint process, the citizen form, and PFC rules and regulations updates. So is there a motion for the approval of the process, complaint process, and the updates to the form and PFC rules and regulations?
Before we get to that, I guess I do have a few comments for Jenna. I'm going back to the complaint form, Jenna.
I can share my screen, Jenna.
At page 6 of the document I'm working through, you've added the word charges in a lot of places, and then charging party, charged party. What's the motivation behind that word?
You're on the
Charges goes back to the statute, but also I believe it was meant to match the rules. And then towards the top there, we say complainant / charging party. So that would be, I believe the rules, we'd have to refer back to the rules. I don't know if you have them available to pull up on your screen. In section 6, probably 5, 6, or 7, where you were before.
Here's 5.
Okay, so it's not in 5. Well, so sub 5 would refer to charges, as does 6213, the statute. And then if we go down to section 7 on the citizen complaint process, there we say a complaint of misconduct, and then we refer to charges. Charges under this rule shall be filed within 1 year. So complaint and charges are essentially interchangeable. And then I believe the term charging party had been used in the rules. And I think that, helps clarify a little bit what each person's role is. So I think citizens, sometimes the PFC process can be a bit counterintuitive for someone who's never been involved in a PFC process before, where they need to understand that they're actually the ones bringing a complaint and that they have to essentially prosecute the complaint, not that somebody else is going to do that for them. So that's why I use those terms. But I think you could say complainant, but it does match. I see it does match the rule right now.
I see that, and if it's statutory, I'm not trying to argue language in the statute. It just sounded a little bit confusing to me. Typically, charges would be brought by a law enforcement agency, right? Not a citizen. So if I'm an officer being charged with something, that's how it reads to me. That sounds a lot more severe than being the subject of a complaint. But I see how it does play out in the rules and the statutes. So.
Yeah, and I hear you. 6213 refers to charges in 6213. I'm pulling up on my separate screen here. 6213 sub 5EM, refers to charges, and it's a little bit confusing, right, when you're talking about a citizen complaint, but the statute doesn't really differentiate between charges filed by a chief versus charges filed by a citizen. So, yeah, I agree the statute is not a model of clarity.
Yeah. Okay. Then in the next page, couple pages down, the rules and regs, page 1, under the mission, you're adding community instead of citizen. I don't mind that. Commission is also committed to promoting and supporting equity, diversion, and inclusion efforts. Is that still necessary? I feel like a lot of that language is being walked back in a lot of senses. We're seeming to double down on it here. Is it necessary? We go on to say, the commission also works to provide levels of accountability, transparency, and trust, sustaining a workforce that reflects the community in which we serve and live in. Was that added? Maybe Sarah knows. Was that added during the...
Only red line was added. So I think where you're looking...
Are you on
is that section
3?
Under mission?
Right here. Oh. Oh, yeah. So I can speak to back in 2020, we did have a commissioner on the PFC that did suggest that we should add DEI language to some of our parts. So that was something from the last commission. So that is something that if the PFC here wanted to adjust anything in here along with these revisions by Jenna, they can do so.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that statutorily we had to have on there. So that was just something the commission wanted at the time.
I'm just concerned it seems to have kind of evolved into more of a political statement than an actual mission statement, I would say, for our commission's purposes. I'd be curious to learn what other commissioners think as to the relative, if it's relevant to us still, that we want to leave it in as the mission, part of the mission of the commission.
Can I ask a question on this? The state statute 6213, I shouldn't say oversight, the supervision or authority comes under the mayor for the police and fire. So if you're including this, I don't know if it's contradicting by the PFC having oversight over that versus the mayor. Or am I
So Chief, you're talking about the last sentence of the mission statement, right? Are you talking about the optional powers statement?
Right.
Yeah, so this would be consistent with what you're saying. So the PFC does not have the optional powers under 6213.6. So it doesn't have the sort of general oversight powers that you're talking about, but the PFC still so the PFC's authority would be with hiring, promotions, and major discipline. So I could see, you know, if somebody wanted to make the case that, and I don't know if your question was tied to the previous question, equity, diversity, and inclusion. I suppose one could say that is, you know, still something that the PFC would feel is relevant to hiring and, you know, promotions, I suppose. And you know, certainly you want to treat officers with equity, you know, for the same conduct, things like that. So I don't think that conflicts necessarily, but to the commissioner's original question, the statute doesn't require us to have this language in there. I don't know if any city ordinances, you know, touch on this, you know, the mission of the PFC, if that's like in a city ordinance. That's the only thing I'm not certain of, if this was added to comply with a city ordinance.
It wasn't.
Or
Yeah, no, it was strictly, they were going off of what they felt the mission of the PFC should be based on the statute. So they added some of their own language to basically highlight that hiring, you know, a diverse workforce and a community that we serve. They just wanted to highlight that a little bit more, but it had nothing to do with an ordinance or statute requirement.
Okay.
Back to my point, I think it was put in there as a political statement at the time. Now we've come past that time, and I'm just asking if it still feels like it wants to be in there. Does it need to be in there? Is it saying what we want it to say, or should it be removed? Like we're seeing a lot of other agencies walking back some of the DEI movement language.
Are you talking about keeping citizen? Is that what we're talking about right now?
So I'm talking about paragraph 2, where we say the commission is also committed to promoting and supporting equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts that develop and sustain a workforce that reflects the community we serve and live in. And I'm saying, do we need DEI as part of that statement, or simply said committed to promoting and supporting a workforce that reflects the community we serve and live?
I would agree with Jenna that it would be it's irrelevant to have it there when we're hiring.
What we could do is we could not take a vote, and if everybody wanted to take some time to go through the rules and regs, we could vote on it at the next meeting. Just throwing that out there. If anyone feels rushed to approve it, we can definitely take some time.
Yeah, I think that's where I am right now. Now we're talking about language that's above and beyond what's been identified in the redlining process. And so I want to err on the side of caution before voting on this language today until we've had more opportunities to talk about removal of that language.
So I'll add this to the next agenda in April. Okay. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your time and your help with all of these updates.
Absolutely. If you need me at the next meeting, let me know. But otherwise, thank you all for your time. And if any other questions come up, I'm happy to weigh in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. I'll log off.
Moving on, the next item on the agenda, 6A, staffing report from the fire department.
Can I just pause for just a second before you move on? I'm not opposed to voting today, and I didn't bring that language up because I think we need to postpone the voting. It was just more of a comment and a question for discussion. So if the commissioners present are not in support of what I'm saying, then I'm standing alone, and I don't think a meeting a month from now is going to change that. So I'd be happy to be the dissenting vote or to approve of everything else you know, with that condition, so don't let me hold up the process, is what I'm saying. I appreciate the extra time and all of that, but if it's more of a routine, you know, maintenance update to these, I'm happy to proceed as the president would like.
Well, I guess stepping back, I would say the motion wasn't a motion, nor was it seconded, so I would say the motion died. And we can step back and I can, you know, entertain a motion on the floor again, but when the motion was presented, no commissioner said, you know.
I'll do it, or I'll make the motion.
Okay. So you want to step back and, I guess, procedurally?
No, I was just trying to finish your sentence. You said nobody acted on the motion, so.
No,
it
because you
kinda
said I
died.
got questions before we actually.
So should we revert back and?
We can. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
Was there a motion?
Well, there was a motion, but we dropped it, so we'll take another, we'll
Yeah.
kind of start over right now. So we're taking a motion to approve all of those documents.
so I wasn't making a motion, I was just opening the floor, entertaining, if one of the commissioners wanted to make a motion to approve the redlining and the process and the updates to the documents.
I approve or motion to approve the updates. You guys are gonna have to help me with that, with the red lettering, the changes that we're wanting to be made on this document.
Is there a second?
Let me,
So we have a motion. Is there a second? Then we can go, okay, so it's been properly moved and seconded. Now we can have a discussion, or we can continue the discussion at this point before we vote. So is there anything else, any other points about the document, the changes? You sure? This is the time to speak before we vote. You know, the concerns? Comments? You've made, I mean, I think.
Yeah, I made my
understand
comments,
what-
I guess, I didn't hear any supportive feedback, so like I said, I think that's my opinion. I need votes to approve it, I don't have the votes, so I guess I made the second. I'm happy with the changes, that wasn't part of the discussion, that was kind of outside of it. So happy to make that at a future meeting if I feel like that's important.
Yeah, we can always update them beyond just right now. So if you decide after reviewing this and you look through it more and you're like, ooh, I don't like this statement either, we can bring it back to a future PFC meeting and we can make amendments at any time.
So what if we made a friendly amendment to actually, so we have that reflected in the minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
What we're approving today is based on the red line that's been done, but at a future session, we can review
Just take up other
the mission
changes.
Yeah. Possibly more changes.
so I guess do we need to have another meeting to discuss? I just kind of feel like we're hesitant to move forward with, I think I guess I should repeat my motion for the PFC complaint form update and updates of the PFC rules and regulations for changes to be made. I don't know if that changes anything. If we're kind of hesitant to move forward, then maybe we need to review this some more.
We didn't hear from the chiefs either. Any issues you guys have with the changes as they've been presented, red line?
We were able to review some of it. When you brought that part up, I hadn't reviewed, for whatever reason, I missed that. And then I was thinking something different about powers from the mayor versus powers of the PFC. And it got cleared up because I think the attorney made it perfectly clear that the powers that are being spoken about are relevant towards the hiring and firing part. And for that, I have no other, no other issues with it. So that would be upon you. I don't know what,
No, everything looked good to me. I spoke with Sarah about the probationary periods matching. But again, that was more about me being new, I think, to this process. Everything looks fine.
the additions on that, the probationary period was long overdue. We needed that, and there's been some long-term discussions that we've had in the recent past that would have helped if they were, in effect already, so.
Well, I think for the purpose of Veronica's comment, I appreciate her willing to walk back or wait, and same with Commissioner, with what Brian said, but I'm happy to support the red line. It sounds like it was more of an administrative change or update to our rules and regs, so I don't wanna make it, about language, not included in the scope of what we were trying to accomplish today and drag out that process longer. It sounds like there's consensus among the chiefs that the changes were good and needed and overdue, so further delay I don't think would benefit the city or its citizens at all at this point. And if there was an issue with the mission statement that I brought up, we can always address that at a future meeting and in isolation over just that mission statement, and I think we'd get better feedback and discussion with the full breadth of commissioners in the room too. So for that reason, I would say we proceed with the motion as presented and seconded and see where we go.
So I think what I'm hearing you saying, you can support the efforts that's been done through the redlining. Taking into consideration in the future, the commission can address concerns around the concerns you have around the mission statement.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make sure the minutes reflect that.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. Well, let's now put it to the vote. All in favor of the changes and approval of the process, say aye.
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 Anyone not in favor, say nay. Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you all. For the derailment there.
Good discussion, thank you. All right. So, going back to item
Fire department update?
fire department update, is that 6?
All right. So calls trending upward a little bit, but we saw that last year and levels off and things, so we'll keep watching on that. No structure fires for the month of February in Fitchburg. However, we have been pretty active as far as supporting our mutual aid partners. So there's been lots of activity going on there. As far as overtime goes, last month was 650 hours, quite a bit up from last year. We've had a lot of stuff going on, some transition in positions, people leaving, some delay in filling those positions, so I think that attributes to some of that. This month and next month are probably going to be more significant as we have someone going out on baby leave, FMLA. We also have just a recent injury too, so probably going to see those numbers get a little bit higher, which is concerning for me. Mandates are also up, same reasoning. As you saw 7 in February, I'm anticipating March and April to be possibly more than that. Those are sensitive to us because we don't like to have to force people to work, obviously. On the positive side, though, we hired the 8 POX employees, and we have 2 of those coming on board filling shifts right now, and the other 6 hopefully by maybe the first week of April to get all of them on board. So we're really hoping that effort reduces that overtime, reduces those mandates, and resupplies our part-time staffing. And there will be an ask here in a second for me in addition to that as well.
Okay. questions for the, oh, are you still continuing with your report?
Nope, I think that's Sarah.
Any questions for Chief on the fire report? No questions. Hearing no questions, we'll continue to move along. Item 6B, let's see, 6B and C, we will need to skip because we do not have in-person quorum among the PFC, so we cannot go into closed session. So we will continue to move along to to 6D, request to begin a paid on-call firefighter and a career firefighter recruitment process. Chief.
Yeah, so even though I said we're bringing on 8 and getting them onboarded, we have 3 POX employees that have received contingent offers. They're going through backgrounds. 1 has already departed, and the other 2 are just waiting to get their job offers finalized. So we had an open application period for POX firefighters. We had 13 applicants over the last few months, so we're really satisfied with that number, and we're looking to bring on 4 more of those folks. We think that number would be good for us right now. And then in addition to that, one of those POX folks that has a conditional offer is our last person on our career firefighter eligibility list. So the last time we did this process, we experimented with a career process, and we asked the POX process candidates we asked the career candidates if they were interested in the POX process and becoming a part-time firefighter if they were successful in the career side. So we'd like to do those processes again together so that we can get an eligibility list and get a POX eligibility list and bring 4 of those on. So that's my ask, is to just start those 2 different processes, and we will do those together.
Any questions for the chief? We got a good understanding of the request?
I move we accept the chief's request or approve the chief's request to initiate processes for both POX and career firefighters.
I second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it, motion carries. Request is approved. Next item on the agenda, item 7A, the staffing report from the police department.
Yes, we're down to 6 vacancies. We have a captain vacancy. The sergeant will be filled in August. That's a process where that person will meet the required years of service to fit the requirements for sergeant. 4 police officer positions. That's a total of 6. We do have 2 officers. We did have 3 on the notation, but 1 just got off limited duty. We have 2 officers on limited duty, one for family medical, the other one for other status, and those are pending for at least the month of March. As far as filling the vacancies, we did have a process. We do have 1 potential candidate from this last process that will bring a closed session for next month. And we have another one that we did provide a conditional offer. That one graduates in May. The academy starts in June. So we're hoping to do another process with Sarah. I don't know if you agreed on it with that. So we're hoping to maybe get from this next process a 3rd, so we can have 3 enter the academy in June. Right now, we potentially have 2. We may have more than that. So we're still looking at filling those positions. There are other processes that will be brought up at the next closed session meeting in April. Are there any questions? Okay. As far as our monthly activity report, did you all get a chance to see the annual report?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of good work that was done with the annual report, and the current monthly report is going to show some drops in activity. When we look at officer and citizen-generated calls for service, our officer-generated calls for service have decreased considerably. However, there's a couple of reasons for that. Our officers have slowed down, our vacancies are growing, and again, it becomes more of a responsive than a proactive work, and that's noticeable. Not to say that we can't do more, we can always do more, but I gotta take it easy since we are a less staffed department versus other cities. So we're looking into what caused the big drop in decreases and see if we can improve. Our crimes are still are doing well in crimes. We had 3 burglaries for the month, 2 reported stolen autos. There is a trend going throughout the state. When I say state, between Milwaukee and Madison, where there's been an increase in entry into autos versus theft of autos, and that's the break-ins. We did have a couple of weekends where that drove our numbers. We were investigating it. It's a bigger problem than just Fitchburg. We are communicating with our Dane County partners and looking at potentially creating some initiatives. It's a handful of people, I always tell you that create the biggest problems in those drives of entry into autos. It's also consistent with the weather. You're gonna have vehicles that are parked out there sometimes warming up. They break into them, they're trying to steal them, they don't get to steal them, but they created enough damage and removed items that causes those drives. I'm anticipating that in the upcoming months with the better weather and us identifying who these problem people are, that we're able to address it. Let's see. The overall numbers when we get to that part, the numbers are pretty, like as I indicated, consistent. One off from last year is nothing to really be concerning, although you'll see the numbers in color show that it's more serious than it is. It's not, and I'm not concerned. The ones that did show up often show up of concern was the theft of auto or entry into auto, and that was just 2 simple weekends of our subjects being out in the street. One vehicle in particular that we learned a lot about are the Infinities. They're breaking in through the sunroof. If you break in through the sunroof, the alarm will not go off. And through some of these apps, you're able to turn the vehicle on. And that's something that I'm sure Infinity can do an upgrade on and repair that. But that was one of the trends throughout the state, was the Infinity vehicles. And we will connect with the rest of the county to see what type of messaging we can do with that as well. Other than that, a slight drop in traffic crashes and our traffic monitoring and traffic stops. As I stated, there was a drop in activity from our staff. We're looking into it. But overall, it was a pretty typical February and January as well. They are usually pretty quiet due to the weather. Any questions?
Just quickly, remind me why the officer-initiated calls have dropped so dramatically. It seems like starting in November, really, and
Yes.
continuing into 26.
Exactly. And if some of our staff, and you see the numbers that we have down, we had we dropped in 2 officers, one that resigned last year, and we had 1 officer that went on limited duty as of December. Those 3 officers kind of impacted. They were impacted not only our staffing but the proactive work. We had an additional officer this last month that resigned, and those when you're dropping and you're already down, there is change, but the change in the reduction of our staffing that started last fall, particularly November, we've seen a notice. We're also are having a conversation with our sergeants to really identify. So proactive police work, just to clarify, is not just traffic stops. It's also interaction with your community. If you get out and walk the park, if you get out and talk to somebody at a business and you let yourself know that you're out there engaging, that's all proactive police work. And, you know, even what we don't have here, but we do issue often during the winter months because of the snow, citations. If we're issuing citations for parking on the wrong side of the street, that will all come out as proactive activity.
And the officer-initiated
Officer-initiated
area
activity.
is the proactive?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. Gotcha.
Officer-initiated is what I call proactive. Traffic stops, parking tickets, parking walks, engaging with the community, stopping at a business if you stop at a Quick Trip or stop at a, you know, depending on what time of the day it is. All of those things that you do to engage are officer-initiated calls.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions for the chief? Hearing none, keep moving. Again, because we do not have in-person quorum of the PFC, we will skip 7B and 7C on the agenda, which brings us to number 8, announcements. No announcements? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the last item on the agenda, number 9, adjournment. Move adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.